If you need help making wise money decisions, we have some financial lessons you can learn from Michael Jackson's estate and will.
Here to explain is financial strategist Matthew Sapaula. He hosts Money Smart Radio every morning on AM 850. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I don't think any of us assume that we're talking about money in the range of Michael Jackson, but there's some lessons we can learn from what he did and did not do right, correctly?
Right. Absolutely right.
Okay, so the first thing is cash is king. Even if you're Michael Jackson, you should have a lot of cash.
Right. Michael Jackson's estate was a typical asset-rich, cash poor or house-rich, cash poor type of estate. It was reported that less than $700,000 he had in the bank. It's like the common person walking around with $20 in a wallet hoping to get by for the rest of the month.
But why would you need more cash than that? Got all these assets.
Right, because he couldn't liquidate his assets. He had to borrow from friends. He had to borrow from the bank. He had borrowed $200 million from Bank of America and couldn't afford to pay it back simply because he had no cash on hand.
Oh.
Right. Tip 2, mindfully borrow money from friends.
Especially in the time that we're in today, borrowing money from friends or family members. Here's my rule with borrowing money from friends. If you can't afford to live without it, don't borrow it. So, for example, someone comes to you with $100, asking for that amount of money, and you can't live without $100, don't give it. But if you can live without $40, give it to them and never expect that money back.
Yeah.
Here's a problem. Michael's good friend, the Prince of Bahrain from the Middle East, they had a good relationship. He borrowed $7 million from him and sued him for $7 million because Michael couldn't afford to pay it back.
Oh, dear. Well, there's you have another tip here that something that Michael actually did right. It says invest and reinvest your profits to buy assets. You said off of his Bad album. What did he do with the money he made off of that?
One of the greatest investments he had, which is one of his greatest assets that he owns today, he used $47.5 million to purchase ATV Music in 1985. 10 years later, Sony comes to him with a merger deal and says, listen, Michael, we want to merge together with your John Lennon and Paul McCartney and Beatles albums, together our Sony album and create Sony ATV Music. They pay him $150 million to sweeten the deal, which he did. Today, that asset is worth anywhere from $390 million to $1 billion. So good job with Mike on that.
So for us, are you saying what? When you have some money laying around, reinvest it into what?
Absolutely. And an asset that will bring you either current income or value down the road that will appreciate in
Mutual
value.
fund or
Is it like real estate? I mean,
it could be. Everybody's like, oh, the doom and gloom of mutual funds and doom and gloom of real estate today. But however, everything is on discount and everything's cheap.
good. All right.
It's tip number 4. Establish and continually update your will. Why would you have to update it?
Well, first point, 60% of most Americans today die without a will. In other words, they're leaving the estate in the control of other people or a judge in that particular state. Well, Michael did. He had problems with his father, granted, but based on his death and his dying wishes, which is honored in court, it says my kids will be in the hands of my mother or in the hands of Diana Ross. And that has happened. And a lot of work has to be done on the opposing end, from Joe Jackson's end, to get any custody or any value from Michael's estate.
But we still see that there might be a custody fight by the birth mother of the children. So, I mean, she can legally still fight even though there is a will. I mean, is it worth it to have the will if people can still put up this battle?
That's why continually update, because make sure that your will is consistent with the laws of the state, that you can that you can separate the surrogate parent out of the will as well.
And our last tip is create a liquid estate to pay large death taxes.
One of the biggest things, especially with Michael's estate value, one of the things looming around in 9 months from now is a huge estate tax bill. In other words, the government still is going to tax Michael one last time for forever.
I thought that death tax was gone now.
Next year it is. Next year, but it's coming back. So
You never know.
Okay. Thanks so much, Matthew Sapaula. You can hear him. MoneySmartRadio.com is where you can go to his website, but you're on AM 850.
Yes.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate you.